Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. And I want to say Shalom to Yakim Nakwat out there, pursuing this truth diligently. Excuse me, coming at you once again with another lesson. And on top of that, once again, with another edition of Legends, Lies, and the Cherished Myths of Babylon. Which, of course, if you're not familiar with it, it's just this little mini-series. I started up week or two ago dealing with this book that I found at a thrift store browsing around. I saw it on the shelves. I usually don't check the book section a whole lot because it's usually just like cookbooks and shit. Sometimes I do, look at the fantasy stuff, just see what they have sometimes. But I don't usually go through the whole section. Now that I go there, I check this one specific section. This was in history. The history section, and this was in the reference section. So now every time I go and check in the history and reference section because there's always new different stuff. I went there the other day, I believe it was yesterday, and they had some more dictionaries and stuff. I looked through them. I want to get an old thesaurus. I want to get an old, like some type of book with etymology in it. There's a couple different books I want to get, and you might be wondering, well, why you got the internet? Well, yeah, but here, the whole thing, the reason I got this Webster's Compact Dictionary is one, there was a bigger one, but it was kind of in bad condition. I want my stuff to at least be clean. It was kind of tore up, and I had stains on it. I'm like, ugh, no, I'm good. This one looks like it's, pretty much mint, and this one's from like 1986 or something like that, 1987. This one's from 1986, 87. I was getting confused. One's from 87, one's from 86. I'll figure it out right now. This one, 87, right? 87. And then, which would mean this one's from 86. Let me go and check again. Let me see. 88. As you can see, 88. So, but it was actually published in 89. So, I was wrong. So, originally published in 88. So, 88, and this was 87. 87. So, a 1 year apart, actually. Well, 2 if you want to get when this specific copy was published. But, yeah, and this is, again, the book that I go into is Legends, Lies, and the Cherished Myths of American History. It's by this guy, Richard Schenkman. I tried looking him up, and if you go on the back here, this is the picture of the guy here. It says, Richard Schenkman is a television news reporter stationed in Washington, D.C. He co-authored with Kurt Reiger One Night Stands with American History, which I'll have to look into that. Maybe that'll be something to get into. But I couldn't find too much information about him. I was digging him up. The only other Richard Schenkman I could really find, I found a page about him. It didn't say too much about him. I guess he wrote other books as well, which I guess this would mention. Didn't mention this one, however. But I guess, that's all I got. And then another guy, I don't know if it's the same guy. I don't know what year he was born in. There was one guy from like he was born in like 1940 something, and it's another Richard Schenkman that apparently kidnapped someone pretty bad and got a 70-year sentence, out in Connecticut. So I don't know. It's kind of close out there. Who knows? Could be the same guy. I don't know if it's the same guy or not, but that's one thing I came across when I was digging more into this guy. But anyway, getting back to it, why I get these versions, like these old books, is because not everything on the internet is complete. Okay. For example, another one of the things that I do is I collect VHS. All right. That's just a fun thing of mine. I like, old stuff, things from when I was a kid and whatnot. And the thing about VHS is that there's a lot of stuff out there that hasn't even been kept. It hasn't been archived. There's a lot of information out there that is being lost, and if you actually look into it, we are gaining a lot of knowledge, but we're losing it at a rapid rate. Okay, there's a lot of things that were aired on TV that they're called lost media. There's a lot of stuff like that can be found on VHSs, old VHS tapes people recorded to, and without archiving, without saving news clippings, there was actually an old black lady, I can't remember her name. She was known for keeping news clippings no, not news clippings. I'm sure that as well, but recording VHSs. Something's archived. Let me see. I'll go and show you. Black woman who recorded massive amounts of TV on VHS. Marion Stokes, okay, and you got it. Why did she do it? It should say it. Let's see. Let's read through it. If you really want it, she did it because she stated that you can't trust history, because people could just erase it, and then you never have any proof of it. Okay, so she was smart. So books and stuff like this, once they're gone, if you don't find a PDF of it or a docx or whatever type of, you know, a EPUB or whatever you find, then that it's essentially missing. If they burn all the copies, then no one will ever know it was written within, right? It's the same thing with movies. It's the same thing with television. Again, like I said, I mostly collect just like older movies and stuff to watch it because, again, and why do I do that is because, one, I like having something physical, and two, they can't take it away from me unless they come and pry it from my cold dead hands, as they say, right? Because you go on Netflix, you go on these different sites, and you pay for this service, right? But nothing's guaranteed. You're not buying anything. You're renting something. You're paying for access to be allowed to see something, and you might be watching, but I don't know, Conan the Barbarian, right? You might be watching Conan the Barbarian, and they might have the rights to only have that on their platform for 2 months, and after that, you might have just been able to be watching it, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's gone. I've had shows like that, not like Conan, because of course that's a TV, a movie, but TV shows. You haven't finished the TV show because some of them run really long times, and you know, 10 different seasons and shit, and here it is you're on season 6, season 7, season 8, right? You got a couple more to go, and you know, this series is ending soon, right? They do that on Netflix. You're like, well, shit, you know, and what are you supposed to do? Just sit there and binge it all in one night? You're not going to do that, all right? So it just goes away. Even though you're paying for that service, they can take that from you, all right? Nobody can take away the VHS copy of Shrek unless they come into my house, physically, you know, push into here, attack me, and then take it, or the Lord, you know, decides to have it mold or destroy, right? Because the Lord can take anything away from you. But it's not like online where, like, for example, this AI overview, they could just delete this and say, never say this again, and it could just be gone. All right, that's one of the important things about archiving. Okay, there's many different things that the elders and apostles have out there that function as archives. Okay, they have old tapes, they have old clips, and different things like that. And there's people even such as myself that save them and download from time to time. I haven't done it in a while. You know, you can go to YouTube Downloader and download, you know, like, I'll show you. Here it is, Archive Drive. This is the one. That's the game drive. Archive Drive. You go through here, into documents, videos, movies and stuff. But right here, lessons. Nope, that's my lessons. Saved lessons. All right. And I have a bunch of different stuff saved in here. Apostle Romalov lessons. All right. I got Apostle Gobar lessons. All right. I got Apostle Street Ministries, just a couple again, because these are pretty big. Just like this alone is like 2 gigabytes, right? You start saving a lot. You know, I don't have quite the much storage for that. I'd like to get more storage, but then archives. You know, this is just unsorted stuff. A lot of these are by the. At the time, I was watching a lot of Brother Yuan. Got some stuff from the Elder Menata Zatba. A lot of different stuff in here, right? Got some stuff from GMS Samak Ephraim. At the time was just GMS Miami. Was it GMS Miami 144? I can't remember necessarily. A lot of different stuff in here. All right, and these are from, when are these from? 2021. All right, so 2021 and back. So those are, you know, 5 years old. All right, some of these are even older than that, probably from 2020. See, 2019, December 19th to 2019. So that's I'll just round it up to 20. That's a almost 7-year-old lesson, right? That I've had saved on here for almost 7 years. You know, that's almost a decade. So, and one, you know, where I asked a question back in probably 2021, right? So yeah, lots of different stuff here, man. And a lot of these videos, they're gone. right? A lot of these videos are gone. This original page from the brother Samaki from they're gone. His original page got taken down. So some of these, unless he saved and re-uploaded them, they're gone, right? And that's the problem with the internet. Don't think, a lot of people say the internet's permanent. Not as permanent as you think it is. Okay, it's not. Breakdowns is Daniel 2 and 31. This is the most newest one. I saved this one like a couple weeks ago. April 16th, 2026. Classics. These are old ones, all right? Some videos of Abba Bivens talking, Ariah teaching at the, tearing up the Times Square. I just, I saved these from, you can find them on YouTube. Again, some of those channels go down, these videos, who knows what happens to them. All right, 1979 video of, what was his title? Was it High Priest Yaquab? Something like this goes away and
doing what he's doing. He has to bring help to educate me.
Something like that goes away and that's it, man. These videos of old videos of Ariah.
Sell his soul. He had to sell his soul.
And you white people ain't got no right to tell us to get.
I believe, was that Apostle Dahar?
Sell his soul. He had to sell his soul.
And
Can't tell because the video's so blurry. Well, it kind of looks like him, kind of sounds like him too. But here's some old. The part 1 was never uploaded. I couldn't find it, but I have part 2, 3, and 4. So it's missing one part. So it's not a complete archive until I find that part. But this is an old video of when it was Elder Dahar
Taking overs of nations.
in 1988.
In the history of the, huh? No. There's a specific. There's nations, all right. Save people, but he's not coming to save everybody. I'll get to you. He's coming to save the nation of Israel. What nationality was Jesus Christ? He was an Israelite. Which was an Israelite. Who did he come to save? Go to the book. Wait a minute. Let's read it. Matthew 10, 5, and 6. According to your books. Let's see what the Bible says. Read.
You see, that man's had it for a long time, right? All these older videos. 1997 in New Jersey.
And a lot of these people are going to rebel against the whole society. Like getting license plates on your cars. A lot of people are just going to take cars and drive with no license plate, no license, no nothing.
He said that in 97, and guess what? Out here in Vegas, man, people are legitimately right now rolling around with no license plates. It's actually quite a big issue. But anyway, keeping archives like that is, I'm not saying you brothers and sisters have to do it, because again, it's not something like, it's not you must archive. It's nowhere in the Bible, so you don't necessarily have to do it. Make sure this is recording, yeah. But again, it's something, if you like a video, you might want to save it, because there's no saying if that's going to be uploaded there that next week, because it might go down. All right, Esau might decide on YouTube and say, I don't like that, and take it down. And there's certain videos I have, if they go down off of YouTube, they're gone, all right, permanently, because the ones on my phone, like I said, all these get saved to lessons, all right, and there's thousands, 1,058 items in here, and this is not every lesson that I've ever made, right? It's a good chunk of every lesson I've ever made, but I wouldn't even say it's a good chunk, because I've made hundreds of lessons on the phone, and because phones, they don't have that much storage, this is saved on my archive drive, as you can see, and that's a 2 terabyte hard drive that I've had for a long time. And if there's another thing, if that hard drive ever goes down, guess what? All these go with it. All these go with it. All right, I'd like to get a new drive, because I'm pretty sure that drive is getting old. I've had that drive since I was 16, and I'm well beyond that age now. So yeah, man, so I'd like to get a new drive just in case. But this is, this is where it saves. You can see this is the current lesson that's being worked on right now. So it saves to this drive. That's it's not an external drive, it's an internal drive that I have in my computer, because I have that, and I have a regular C drive for the installs and program files and all those different things, like the programs and installations and shit, like software and shit, like for example OBS that runs this, and Photoshop, and all these different things. And then I have a local disk D, which is really just a game drive. All that's there is just games, and then program files that it decides to install and shit, but it's mostly just Steam and games, right? That's all there is in it. So, you know. But and I don't even play games on this computer hardly ever. Or if I play a game, which I haven't been playing games hardly at all, for like the past like over a month. But if I do play a game, it's usually either going to be on a Switch or Xbox or Steam Deck or something. Not out here. 'Cause again, I'd rather be chilling in the bed doing it and sitting at this desk. But it's more like my study desk, right? And I've tried to transform it more into that by having, you know, the paper and the pens and everything over here. But anyway, I'm rambling on. It says, you are likely thinking of Marion Stokes. That's who I was thinking of. It says, a fiercely intelligent Philadelphia librarian, civil rights activist, and public access TV producer who recorded television 24 hours a day for over 30 years. Between 1979 and her death in 2012, Stokes amassed an unprecedented archive of over 70,000 VHS and Betamax tapes, which is very expensive to do, mind you. First of all, because those tapes were not cheap. How much was a blank VHS in 1980? Come on now, 82 or 83. A blank VHS tape was between $10 and $20. So yeah, dang. Pre-recorded movie. These were priced for the rental market, often costing $80 to $100 to deter consumer purchases. Lower sell-through price. Yeah, that was the renting era. It wasn't until much later where actually people would actually buy and actually own a VHS. Because again, no one's gonna buy one for $100, $80, $100. Can you imagine that? That's insane now. And that was $80 back then. So that's like what? 80, that's probably like $500-$600 for a VHS, which is insane. But yeah, 10 to 20 for just a blank recording VHS. A lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. Cheaper than, you know, of course, buying a feature film, but still, she was running, kept it running 24/7. A lot of those tapes only ran about 2 hours on max, and that's if you're running them on man, what is it? You got bear with me, I got my VCR over there. Let me see. EP and SP, all right? And then there's another one. The one I have, it's just an old JVC, so it doesn't have the other. But so EP and SP. So SP is standard play and EP is extended play. So extended play will get you longer time. For a 2 hour, you could usually probably get 4 hours out of it, but you know, you'd suffer at quality. So say she was running everything in EP. That's still 4 hours, man. Some of those did go 6 hours, some of them, so you could get 12 hours, but still, that's you'd need 2 of those tapes a day, and if they're 10 to 20, that's $20 a day, you know. And that's if they're 10, not 20, you know. $40 a day if it's 20. So $40 a day adds up, you know. 40 times 7 is 280. That's 280 a week. Okay. So, or you can do 280, so that's a week. How many weeks in a year? 52. Okay, so we'll go 280 times 50. So we'll just round it down to 52. So 52 equals, that's $14,000. $14,560. Yeah, damn, per year. I don't know. What was the average? Look, what was the average? What was the average salary in 19? Let's do 85. Tell you what, it wasn't what's on the screen there. It says 16,000. Okay, so a little bit more. So I mean, 14560. That gives you $1,440 left for the rest of the year to do whatever with. Once you cancel out your tapes. Nah, man. Nah, that was money. All right, but again, she said she was a public access TV producer, so she had the money to do it, right? And being that she was a TV producer, she might have had access to tapes at some like a alarming rate or something. I don't know. But anyway, it says the scope using up to 8 VCRs running simultaneously around the clock. Good Lord. She recorded news broadcasts. And VCRs were expensive back then, right? So she wasn't just using one, she was using several. So that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. That's $80 a day. That's, man, I can't even put that together, how much money that would be. That would be an alarming amount of money back in the day to get this even running. It says, using 8 VCRs running simultaneously around the clock, she recorded news broadcasts, local programming, and commercials. Her collection spans the birth of the 24-hour news cycle to the Sandy Hook shooting, which was playing on her television as she passed away. Dang. Says the motivation. Stokes was a radical activist and deep skeptic of mainstream media. She believed that TV networks often discarded and altered their own histories. There you go. And that future generations would need a raw, unedited, concrete record to understand how history and narratives were framed in real time. Okay, so just wanted to show that. So for those that are wondering why do this? Why collect? Why archive? Well, because again, they can do anything. All right, you know, they can. George Orwell, he who controls the past controls the present, and he controls the present controls the past, I believe is how it goes. So you control how things go, you can control the narrative, you can shape things out to be how you want it to be. And given that the earth is given in the hand of the wicked, all right, Esau, Edom, well, they've done a pretty good job at reshaping history, all right? They've done these covering casts, they've lied about what they do, they've lied about the Christianity of America, excuse me, a whole bunch of stuff, and we're going to get into that today. I don't know how much necessarily we're going to get in today, but we're going to get, you know, a decent amount of it. So, first, what I want to do, I believe, is, you know, let's get Psalms. I think I'll start up with Psalms. So let me see. Psalm 52. That's Psalms, but Psalm 52 and 1 through. We'll see how far we want to go down with it. Through Slovakia. All right, bear with me 1 minute. All right, Slovakia. Okay, here we are. So Psalms 52, and this is, you know, right here from verse 1. Psalms 52 in verse 1, to the chief musician, come on now, Michelle, a psalm of David when Doug the Edomite came. Edomite, right? An Edomite came and told Saul and said unto him, David is come to the house of Ahimelech. Why boastest thou thyself in mischief, O mighty man? I think we got this already in one of the other ones, but, you know, it came to me again while I was doing this. So, the goodness of Yahweh endureth continually. Verse 2, thy tongue deviseth mischiefs like a sharp razor working deceitfully. And again, I think we did get this, or I got it in one of the lessons recently. Not so recently, but, you know, a week or so back ago, I believe. And it's just very telling of Edomites, all right? Doug was an Edomite, and this is just how Edomites are. And like it says in verse 2, thy tongue devised mischiefs, all right? Mischief is wickedness. So what it's saying here is, your mouth is, you devise wickedness, all right? And how do they do that? And there's, to get that, there's another scripture. Let me go and get it. Let me see if I can find it. Right here. Bear with me. It reminds me of this scripture right here. Micah 2 and 4. 2 through 4. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And we've gotten this time and time again. It's in the power of their hand. Why? Because the earth is given in the hand of the wicked. It's in the power of their hand. They can do it. They're currently in power right now. They can do it. And what do? They devise iniquity, wickedness, all right, evils, all right, and different, removing history. There's a good one, right? Or lying. Another evil would be causing someone deliberately, deception, causing someone deliberately to believe a lie. That they're so good and that they weren't as harmful and they weren't as wicked as they thought. The last time we got it, I was talking about, oh yeah, Christopher Columbus did kill a bunch of people, but that's not what he should be remembered for. It's that's fine. He was a great, no, that's something that you don't cover up. All right, and that was in this book that we were reading. And we're going to go back into today. It says, and they covet fields and take them by violence. Again, we get this time and time again. Every time you hear about Esau, a lot of time we get this, because this is a clue of who Esau is. Who is the person that covets fields and takes them by violence most primarily? Esau. If you look up who has colonized the most land, it's going to say the Europeans, right? The Edomites. Okay, they have many different names, but that's who they are, the Edomites. And they covet fields and take them by violence and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man and his heritage. And of course, we've got to get down to verse 3, because again, it shows you what's going to happen to these individuals. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, against this family do I devise an evil. The Lord's going to put evil on them, right? Just death and destruction. It says, for which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil, right? So there you go. So that's what that reminds me of. So going back into Psalm 52 and 2, it says, thy tongue devised mischiefs like a sharp razor working deceitfully. There's that deceit. And what is deceit? Well, let's go and get it in the handy dandy mini little compact dictionary. Let's go and look for deceit. And really it means to cause someone to deliberately believe a lie, right? Right here, all it says is just dishonesty. All right, so what we need to do is we need to go and get desktop, go over here, Johnson's, all right, and type in deceit. Okay, fraud, a cheat, a fallacy, any practice by which falsehood is made to pass for truth. Okay, and it also says it's a stratagem. All right, or a stratagem. All right, what is a stratagem? Well, it's going to say a cleverly devised scheme, trick, or maneuver designed to outwit an opponent to achieve a specific goal or gain an advantage. So these individuals you're the opponent, Jake. All right, they're trying to outwit you, outmaneuver you to make you believe something that's a lie. All right, so they can achieve a specific goal or gain an advantage. And they're trying to gain the advantage as in being looked upon as the top people, the best people. And what is the goal? Ultimately the New World Order. All right, I almost said Mark of the New World Order, which I believe is a book. I'm going to look it up. Mark of the New World Order, a book. All right, and what is that dealing with? Look, Mark of the New World Order. The cashless economic system of global electronic enslavement is ready now, by Terry Cook. This is actually the best page. This is the cover I'm familiar with. Mark of the New World Order. Implantable biochip technology. How much do they want for this book? Might pick it up. See, anytime it's something good. Look at all these books it has. This one's $6. Let's see. This is the first edition. I'd like to get the first edition. This is Big Brother NSA and its Little Brothers Beast Tech. This one could be good too. What is this? Beast Tech. Is the Mark of the New World Order secretly under development? Can't read it any further than that, but interesting. Oh, you can get, there's other copies. Wait a minute, let me go back. Are there cheaper versions of this? No, that's as cheap as you can get it. It's $29. Does it tell you how many pages? When was this published? 1996. When was this one published? Used, very good. Used, fair. Used, good. Used, good. Well, this is the best one right here for $6. Oh, that one's $3. Oh, $3.99 shipping. Eh. When was this one? Also 1996. Hmm. Go. Ah. There. Alright. At least I know where it is now. I might pick that. Maybe we'll go through that. Maybe. I don't want to make any promises, but it could be interesting. Book reveals the hidden agenda of groups involved. Wonder what the groups involved are. Technologies for accomplishing it. Mr. Cook's assertions are well documented. He addresses not only the technical but the political, prophetical as well. He is recognized as a leading authority on identifying identity methods and biochip implants. How to be prepared and what you need to do today to defeat the plan. 1996, so information might be a little outdated, but I'm curious on what exactly is said. Maybe we'll pick that up. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, Mark the New World Order is what I was about to say, because I've seen this. And that's essentially what it is, marking the New World Order, because that's the mark that they're going to use for the New World Order. That's their stratagem, right? That's their goal. So, here, in law, it says a subtle willy shift or devise all manner of craft, subtlety, guile, fraud, willingness, slightness, cunning, coven, collusion, practice, and offense, used to deceive another man by any means which hath no other proper or particular name but offense, that they have in 1755. They just changed the spelling of falsehood because I guess it was spelt wrong, but yeah. A fraud, a cheat, a fallacy. All right, there's Vocab Malone's favorite word. It's a fallacy. A fallacy, any practice by which falsehood is made to pass for truth. So any practice where they're trying to make you deliberately believe a lie, and they're trying to pass it off as being the truth. That's Esau's whole thing. All right, that's Esau's whole thing. And I was gonna get this, but directed at a mighty man, traditionally believed to be Doug the Edomite. Right, that's what we were getting in Psalms 52. And 1. So back to it. All right. That's what deceit is. It says, verse 3, thou lovest evil more than good. That's Edomites for you. It says, and lying rather than to speak righteousness, Selah. Thou lovest all devouring words, O thou deceitful tongue. Yahweh shall likewise destroy thee forever. He shall take thee away and pluck thee out of thy dwelling place and root thee out of the land of the living, Selah. The righteous shall see. The righteous also shall see and fear and shall laugh at him. So, we're going to laugh at you, all right, when we see your destruction come. Why? Because you deserve it, man. It says, lo, this is the man that made not Yahweh his strength. What did he make his strength? Well, it says, but trusted in the abundance of his riches and strengthened himself in his wickedness. All right, so there you go. And then Solomon David, so what did he say? He said, but I am like a green olive tree in the house of Yahweh. I trust in the mercy of Yahweh forever and ever. I will praise thee forever because thou hast done it, and I will wait on thy name, for it is good before thy saints. So again, these individuals, these Edomite individuals, now this wasn't just Doug the Edomite, this is how Edomites behave, this is how Edomites act. And they're very prideful, all right? It says that in the scriptures. They're evil, they love evil more than good, they like lie rather than speak righteousness, they work deceitfully. And it's, so on and so forth. And then, like in verse 2, thy tongue deviseth mischiefs. So they're always trying to think about evil and wicked shit that they want to do. It's like the scripture, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. The secret counsel of the wicked, they're the ones that are doing all these things and sending these things out and shooting these arrows, right? To cause these wounds. But again, the Lord's going to get them back. So let's get into it. I don't know how much of this we're going to get in through today, because like I said, we're already 34 minutes in because I decided to do a little bit of yapping. But regardless, let's get into it, right? And I got... Where are we at here? So what we're dealing with today, just a little short one probably, because the longer one is going to be... And I don't know if we'll close out after the 4th. It might just be a 4th part. I'll just have to see. Like I said, I'm just kind of doing this on a whim. But... I have a couple things highlighted here. You know, it's the extension of slavery. You know, a lot of these different things. A lot of different things. Look, he wasn't an abolitionist. He opposed the extension of slavery. He believed to save the Union, slavery ought to be left untouched. And where it was. There you go. But anyway, what we're getting in today is right over here on this side. Okay. So, move it over. Okay, and we skipped a couple pages in. I don't remember where we were exactly, but we skipped a couple pages, right? So you can go and see what page we were on last time. We're not there anymore. But my point and pen. All right, so, and let me grab a drink of water before we get into this. 1 minute. So, it says next to the explorers, because we were just dealing with all these false explorers and people that really didn't discover shit. Now we're dealing with inventors, right? Next to the explorers, inventors are a dull lot and have inspired fewer myths. But for fun, there's always Eli Whitney. There's not a lot of myths, but there is a lot of myths, because half of the shit that's been invented was not invented by these individuals. And they're wrong about this, mind you. Spoiler alert, about this, they're wrong. So we're going to read this, and then we're going to go and get the truth of the matter. Next to explorers, inventors are a dull lot and have inspired fewer myths, but for fun, there's always Eli Whitney. All right, he's full of shit as well. That's a myth in itself. There's a myth within this book. There's lies within the book about lies. Right? So it's like the Elder Manatazatba always says, they lied about the lies they're lying about. So they're lying about the lies that they lied about. This is a lie. Okay, you can go and look it up. It says, but for fun, there's always Eli Whitney, the man who didn't father the system of interchangeable parts. Misleading accounts of Whitney's contribution to the principle of interchangeable parts modularity, right, made on the highest authority, have circulated for years. In his day, Thomas Jefferson celebrated, and Thomas Jefferson was full of shit as well, celebrated Whitney as a gun maker for inventing molds and machines for making all the pieces of his gun locks so exactly equal that 100 locks may be put together as well by taking the first pieces which come to hand. More recently, historian Alan Nevins has credited Whitney with changing the social and economic growth of the United States for his sustained work in the manufacture of muskets. In 1798, we're getting to the point. This is besides the point, but I just wanted to read, start with what's going on with Eli Whitney. It says, in 1798, Whitney was given a lucrative federal contract to supply arms manufactured through the use of interchangeable parts. The usually reliable Dictionary of American Biography assures readers that Whitney's system of interchangeable parts succeeded so well that the government was able to save $25,000 annually on arms. To begin with, Whitney did not devise the principle of interchangeable parts, as many people believe. And the funny thing, they're going to get into his whole situation of the cotton gin, and he didn't do that either. So what did this guy really do? If he didn't create this, he didn't create that, and he didn't create the cotton gin, what did he really create? Half these motherfuckers didn't make anything, all right? That's because they're not the salt of the earth. The Lord's not dealing with them. They're not inventive. They're not creative. And look, man, Jake can't help you be creative. And what happens a lot, all right? And I'm not going to mention necessarily what my wife does for work. It's in a creative field, but I mean, I guess I could say it anyway. It's whatever she makes. Does nails. All right, but the amount of times Edomites have stole her fucking designs, and I'm not fucking glazing her as these new kids say. I'm like legitimately the amount of times I've seen them, because I'm on Reddit. The amount of times I've seen them on Reddit going viral, and these are sets that she just made herself, right? going viral. Esau can't make shit for themselves, all right? They're not creative. They don't have a creative bone in their body. So they have to go and seek out Jake. And again, a lot of these people, you know, my wife does nails and stuff, but she she has a page for it. You know, she doesn't post pictures of herself or anything like that. Like the Apostle now say, if you have a, you know, Instagram, whatever, one of those accounts for business, that's different. You know, you might be having a hustle, you might do certain things like that, right? I have an Instagram, but you're not going to see a single picture of me on it, right? I just, you know, do photography and other stuff, right? It's basically just an archive for me, really. There used to be Flickr, but that page is all weird and stuff. Just, you know, just a place where you can go, oh, you do, yeah, here, you can see it, right? Family and stuff. But, you know, they'd never know my name. It's under a different name. It's under a whole bunch of different stuff, and you never know it's me. Even if you came across, you'd never know it was me, right? Unless you saw it come up in one of my lessons or something. But that's the only way you'd be able to know, all right? You'd never be able to link it to me as a person, who I look like, how I am. But, with that, you know, the page that she has, it, you know, it has a decent following, but it's not like, you know, several hundreds of thousands. These pages will have multiple thousands, and they'll be copying her stuff, and that's what they do. And she told me, she said, oh yeah, within the nail scene, it happens a lot. The bigger creators, and she'll even say it, because again, she's in this truth. She was in this truth before me. She'll say it's a lot of these Edomites. What they'll do is they'll come over and they'll like still smaller creators, usually Jake's stuff, and then they'll go viral. Jake won't go viral, but the other people, you know, there's sets that didn't go viral for that my wife made, but the person that posted will go viral, and it's not even theirs. They copied it. There was a set that my wife had actually made for this Edomite woman, all right, because she ordered them. And she posted them on Reddit acting like she made them. She's like, oh yeah, you know, they're just this gel, or I don't know nothing about nails. Oh, they're just this and that, and that. I'm like, wow. And I showed her, I said, look at this bitch. Isn't this the bitch you just made? She's like, yeah, I made those nails. Because I remember, because she showed me. I'm like, look, these nails I made. And I said, that's that same fucking lady. Look, she's acting like she made them. And then just like 2 days ago, there was a lady on Reddit that copied verbatim. There was a set that my wife had made. And it had like fishes, and it was like a tropical. I don't know necessarily what it was. I think it was like France or something. I don't fucking know. But it was like Italy or something like that. And it had like a lobster, a fish, a lemon, and verbatim, this lady copied it. And she's like, "Oh yeah, you know, I created." You didn't create shit. You didn't create anything, right? So again, like, and I mentioned that because, you know, these Edomites and other people will give us an example. I've seen it in my personal life. All right, I can't give you any better account than I've literally seen it with my own 2 eyes, man. I've literally fucking seen it with my own 2 eyes. It's not just going off of history. I've literally seen Edomites, and mind you, I haven't seen one black girl copy. Well, there probably is, but I haven't seen one black girl copy anything that my wife has made. But every fucking time it's an Edomite. Every fucking time it's an Edomite. Okay? You say, how do you know it's an Edomite? Well, it's because, well, they have skin that looks like mine. All right, but on top of that, they're doing shit like that. This isn't enough to be an Edomite, all right? Because I look like this, and I'm not an Edomite, right? Because I'm teaching and preaching the will of Yahweh Shemiah Shai, and I'll teach 100% that he's a so-called black man, all right? And Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, so all so-called black men, right? My skin color is a little fucked up, right? But that's because, you know, generations of getting with white women in the family, right? But going back, you know, we go back to the Moors, right? The Celt, like the Scottish and Irish area with the you know, literally the surname originally goes back to black lord / black. It can mean black or lord, which I believe they broke that up, and it really means black lord. Okay, and again, you know, you could find there's many different surnames, so you'll never be able to find out what it actually is. And plus, that's actually not the name that is technically the real name what we go by, because my grandfather was actually adopted, and the person that looks like he's legally my dad's father is not. So, but DNA tests that my dad took revealed a lot of different information about this man that actually took a DNA test, and we actually, you know, they knew him to some extent. They didn't really know him, but they knew of the name, and now he's in contact with him and all that stuff. So it's just one of those things, man, where you know, you might look a certain way, but you'll be a different way. You know, you could look like this and be an Israelite, or you can look like an Israelite. You could look like John Shaft and be an Edomite. Okay, so that very well can happen. But so why do I say, oh, they look like this because they look like this and they're doing shit like that and stealing from Jake? Well, that's what Edomites do. Okay, I haven't seen a single melanated individual doing it. All right, not to say that they don't do it. It's just in my personal, what I've seen, I haven't seen it. It's always so-called white women. And why? Because these motherfuckers don't have a creative bone in their body. They're not creative. They can't come up with anything themselves, and they have to steal Jake's work. All right, and that's what's happened with this motherfucker Whitney guy. Because I'll spoil it, because we're gonna go prove it. Whitney didn't create any of the things. All right, it's gonna get into the spoiler alert why we're reading this, because it's gonna get into the cotton gin. Cotton gin was made by slaves. All right, and slaves couldn't have patents on anything. So Whitney just said, "Oh, I had it. I made it." You didn't make shit. All right, you didn't even make these. They were calling you out that you didn't even devise the principle of interchangeable parts. So what else are you lying about? When you have somebody that's been found out that they lied about this and they lied about that and they lied about, what else is being lied about, man? What else is being lied about? Okay, and again, you can't convince me otherwise, because I've seen it in my own personal life with literally shit that my wife didn't show me. See, and trying to delude me. No, I literally saw it. I said, wait a minute. I've fucking seen this set, and I had to show it to my wife. I went because it was on Reddit Popular. It was going viral, like 15,000 likes or something crazy. I said, "This is your set, isn't it?" She said, "Yeah." And I was like, "Look," and there was parts she like, "Oh, I didn't. That's not mine." I'm like, "Yeah, that is. That's in that fucking set you made. She stole that too. She stole the women." And I went and I showed her, and I actually found the exact one, and she was like, "Oh shit." I'm like, "Yeah, this is fuck." And then another thing that's happened, Moabites do that shit too. Her shit was being copied and like ran through AI to make it changed a little bit, but they were showing like the real set, the actual set that she made, and they're posting it on like Temu or whatever, and people were showing it, and it's like a fucked up like mass produced set, and they do that as well because again, no creativity, and that's with Moab too. Moab, another very not creative people. What is coming out? They can run a sweatshop, but there's not much creativity. Ammon, all right, the so-called Japanese, they're a little bit more creative at least. All right, but again, how many of those things and new inventions really come? Because we know that Jake had a big Jake had a big presence in Japan. All right, at one point. All right, and they did in China as well. That's how fried chicken got over there. All right, it's soldiers that were, stationed over there at the time. You can look it up. I don't know. They'll probably lie about it now, but you can look it up. At one point, you could look that up, and it will actually say, yes, that's how they came about getting the fried chicken recipes, is from black soldiers that were stationed over there and taught them how to do it. That's why, these Chinese fried chicken so good. Why? Because Jake taught them how to do it. Again, without Jake, this world would be completely fucked up, man. It'd be completely fucked up. So, anyway, it says, so well that the government was able to save $20,000 annually on arms, but it was bullshit. To begin with, Whitney did not devise the principle of interchangeable parts, as many people believe. He was not even the first person to try to use it in the manufacture of weapons, so he wasn't even the original person that originally even had the thought. My God, man. And this happens a lot. Matter of fact, I'm going to leave this right here for a minute, and I'm going to go and show you some. Let's see. Let me go and try to find it. Actually, you can come along. Desktop. All right. Try to see if I can find it. You can go and look up black inventors and their invention. And a lot of people say this is bullshit, but it's not. Okay, here it is from U.S. San Diego Library. Okay, black inventors and their inventions. So they say Africans, all right, but no, it's Jake, all right, Jake. And even if it was Africans, it wouldn't be white folk, all right, it'd be Hamites, all right, but it was Jake, all right. Jake was over there with Ham, all right, and a lot of those, so Africans, it depends on what part of Africa, because you got West Africa with Ghana and them, and Nigeria and all that. That's all Jake. Okay, Jake was over there heavily. Okay, and people get pissed everywhere. You gotta make everybody Jake. Well, yeah, because you can just tell by how they are. All right, it's like the same way with false prophets. You shall know them by their fruits. Well, it's the same thing. You're gonna know. Or another scripture. Try them of their spirit, whether they be of the Most High. Right. Well, same thing. Try them of their spirits. Right. That's trying someone's spirit and watching them and examining them, see how they move, seeing how they talk, seeing how they walk, seeing how they act is a good insight to who they are as a person. And knowing who they are as a person is a good insight as if they're an Israelite or if they're not an Israelite. Okay. Not always easy to tell from that if they're a Hamite or a Ammonite or a Moabite or an Ishmaelite or a, so on and so forth. But you can tell, one, that they're not an Israelite. Okay. And for here, Black inventors and their inventions, just going from the top. And I've gotten this, it's been a while since I've gone through this list, but I try to go through it frequently. Can get just, if nothing less, just to ruffle the feathers of the Edomites, right? So Black inventors and their inventions, we'll just go from the top. And then you can look on the side of who, apparently created it, right? So some Black inventions, right? So-called. So paper, chess, alphabet, medicine, civilization, airplane propelling, biscuit cutter, folding bed, coin changer, rotary engine, car coupler, letterbox, stainless steel pads, torpedo discharger, disposable syringe, home security system, corn planter, cotton planter, ironing board, street sweepers, horse bridle bit, horseshoe, lawnmower, typewriter, train alarm, image converter, radiation detector, peanut butter, paints and stains, lotions and soaps. So you'd be walking around, not that you'd be able to be told, but you'd be walking around dry as a motherfucker, Esau. No lotions and no soap. You'd be stinking and dry. Automatic fishing reel, ice cream mold, printing press. You wouldn't even be able to put the lies out that you're lying about currently if you didn't have this printing press to lie with, right? We know Amalek with the learned protocols. I can't mention too much of the title other than that. Talks about, complete control of the press. You wouldn't even be able to do that if it wasn't for our invention of the printing press. Envelope seal, laser fuels, pressure cookers, window cleaners, pencil sharpeners, fire extinguisher, lock, shoe lasting machine, lubricators, rocket catapult, elevator, gas mask, traffic signal. Wouldn't even be able to do anything with that. You like to say it was a white guy, but no. Here's the thing. And because a lot of people do some research on this, so no, it was actually made by a white guy. Well, here's the thing that Esau does sometimes, all right, and they'll try to boast about this. So there might be a thought that came about, right, or there might have been a early version, and what Esau will do is they'll take that, all right, and then they'll change it a little bit, and it'll become what's known as the modern version, and then they'll be like, see, we created it. Well, no, you created this version. For example, say I have an example for you, okay? The IBM Model M, okay? This is the keyboard that we know today, okay? For the most part. If you look at this, look, escape, F1 keys at the top, right? A lot of them don't have this anymore, and this is a Spanish one to begin with. But and then look, numbers on top, all right? Backspace, enter, shift, control, alt keys, right? And then the number pad, and then the arrow keys and all that stuff. If I showed you my keyboard, it looks pretty much the same to this day. But if you looked at, it should say that it became the prototype of what is the standard for today. Let's see. Let's go and look at the Model F. See? This isn't how keyboards look today. You don't have the F keys on here, and then look at all this. Caps lock down here, and then all the, This is not what it looks like at all. Okay? And then they did some revisions. Okay, well now at least they got this. Okay? And then the Model F122 terminal keyboard. Okay, they did some different things going back. Okay, well. And then they kept going, and then they finally came to the Model M. Keyboards before the Model F even looked fucking weirder. Out of a Model F. I bet let's hear it. I bet it's juicy. Fantastic. All right. Ooh, we can hear it. Let's go with the one from 1986. Buckling spring. 99 version. 1984. Oh, that's the F. Yeah, Model M was the best sounding one. Classic keyboard sound. Let's see. It should show you. It should say that model. Is it true? Is it true? The Model M, the IBM, I should say IBM Model M became the standard for keyboards that we still use today. And it should say yes. If not, it's bullshitter. Come on. Yes, it is entirely true. Introduced in 1985, the IBM Model M popularized the 101 key layout ANSI and 102 key layout ISO. This set the definitive hardware standard for computer keyboards that virtually all modern full-size desktop keyboards still allow today. Now, who made the Model M keyboard? It was made by IBM. Yeah, but who specifically? But who specifically worked on it, on its creation? Oh, what's that? Who's this? Huh. So-called black man. You wouldn't even have a modern fucking keyboard if it was. But see how you had to specifically. IBM made it. Who specifically? Who specifically made it? This man right here. All right, this man right here. Jake. Okay. He was a switch inventor. He is the single most important individual for the Model M's creation. Because, you know, the switch created buckling, it says, not the buckling spring, but it says the rocking switch actuator for a low-force membrane contact switch, U.S. patent so-and-so. Says this membrane buckling spring, the buckling spring, all right, which was the predecessor of the mechanical keyboards that we know and use today, all right? Not everybody has because they are a little bit more expensive, but they're used in gaming, all right? I use come on now. I use a mechanical keyboard. Matter of fact, somewhere over there, or I might have been bringing it down to the garage. I have a replica of a Model M because Model M's are quite expensive, but it looks just like a Model M. It says who invented the foundational mechanism that made the keyboard possible. The primary individuals responsible. Yeah. So anyway, but here we were. It says this membrane buckling spring design cut manufacturing costs in half compared to previous keyboards while preserving the legendary tactile feel and click, where, you know, mechanical keyboards came from today. And the difference between, again, I'm not going to go into the whole difference between membrane keyboards and buckling spring and mechanical switch. There's a lot, but it's, you know, it's good if you like to write a lot. They feel better, right? And then, of course, Richard Hunter Harris. Looks to be a so-called white man. And Edwin J. Selker. Joseph D. Rutledge. Hard to find information about these individuals. But there you go. So without a black man, it'd be impossible. But what they do is, again, they'll say, "Oh, well, he didn't invent it. You know, other people. You know, there was more white people that worked on it." Yeah, but it even says he's the most important individual. If it wasn't for the switches, it wouldn't work. Because I don't know if you know about this. Those for that don't know is the switch is like the thing that actually makes the keyboard work. Okay, let's see here. The best way to explain it is just to show. I don't want to mess with this keyboard. 1 minute. This is what is this? Like a 40% keyboard, isn't it? Or is it a 60? I know the one I have is a 75. Anyway, this is a keyboard, right? This is a keyboard. As you can see, not used to. It's a very tiny one. You should be able to hear it. That's what a mechanical keyboard sounds like. Well, these are these have Acco purples in them, which is like they're clickier. If I use my regular keyboard, you wouldn't even be able to hear it because I went with like more thockier, lower switches, as they call. Another hobby of mine, right? Keyboards, but you hear it. But anyway, a switch I don't have a key puller on me. I can just pop this control right out. That's a switch. This thing right here. When I press this, being that it's a control key, okay, it presses control. If it did not have this, no keyboard. You wouldn't be typing anything. You wouldn't be entering anything. You just wouldn't have it. It wouldn't even be a keyboard, because how would you be able to enter anything if you didn't have the switch? So Jake was responsible for creating that modern switch. All right, at the time of buckling spring, which is different than this, but it's like the predecessor of mechanical keyboards. So you wouldn't be able to do anything. You wouldn't be able to do anything without Jake. All right, let me go put this back. But Esau say, "Oh no, no, yeah." But if you didn't create the foundation, buddy, you wouldn't even had anything to work with in the first place. All right. So Jake, sometimes they'll create the idea, and it's not that they can't create the idea. Sometimes it might be cost. A lot of time in inventions, what happens is cost, especially back in the day, because things about light bulb filaments and certain things like that. For example, they say, "Oh well, Edison created the light bulb." Yeah, well, Jake created the filament. Okay. How are you gonna have a light bulb without the filament? Okay. How are you gonna have that? Okay. For example, a funny thing that I can also give you another example of. Actually, let me go and grab one. Dusty. Another thing that's got to be brought downstairs. Right there. Okay, these are vintage style, as they would call them, Edison lights. Okay, I have them for a little lamp that I keep on my desk. It's like an open, old style lamp, It's very, very cozy. They're warm amber candlelight, so it gives you a nice orange cast. You can probably see the orange cast down here, as opposed to the harsh white light. And again, the harsh white light is just not natural at all. But yeah, so here's the light bulb. All right, this right here is the filament. All right, where's my point? It's over there. But this is the filament. So if you didn't have this, all you got is a fucking domed piece of glass. You wouldn't be able to light anything up. But Edison created the bulb and stuff, and he created the he designed a new filament the Jake inventor, he created the filament, but Edison did a couple changes to the filament it was a black guy that did the changes to the filament. Edison created, okay, that's what it was. Edison, in this case, he created a prototype for a filament, but it burnt out very quickly. Jake, this is the opposite. Usually Esau does that, but Jake corrected the whole filament problem and made it to where it could actually be practical and added it into the house. So there's a couple different things that can happen usually. Let me go put this. There's either Esau creates the idea of it and it never really worked, and Jake comes and perfects it, or Jake came up with the idea of it, and one reason or another they didn't have the money to fund the research again, because Jake don't have a lot of money, and Esau comes over, sees it, and says, "Oh, I like that idea," and then they build off of that, right? Those are the two things that either happen. But either way, Jake is the one that, if it wasn't for Jake, you would not have that item. Okay, you should be able to go and look up. Is it true that a black man was the one who made light bulb filament? Yes. There you go. While Thomas Edison is credited inventing the incandescent light bulb, a black engineer named Lewis Howard Latimer played a pivotal role in making it usable and affordable. First of all, Esau came up with an idea that wasn't even usable. Okay, that's like if I came, well, there's going to be a swing that swings you upside down, and then there's a dragon that comes out, nips at your toe. How the fuck are you going to make that? And then, somebody actually puts it together. Well, I made that. Like, you came up with the idea of something, but you weren't able to get it practically up and running. Well, what about Jake without the money? Well, they couldn't get it running because they were limited by money. A little bit different. Esau's not limited by money. Jake is. It says, Latimer significantly improved upon Edison's original design, which burned out after just a few hours. Could you imagine having to change your light bulb every few hours? You wouldn't want to do that. Okay, carbon filament. In 1881, Latimer patented a new, highly durable carbon filament that could last for months instead of hours. This innovation made electrical lighting practical and affordable for everyday households. So there you go. There you go. But continuing on, hairbrush, heating, airship, folding chair, more black inventions, right? Hand stamp, fountain pen, dustpan. And again, I'm not going to read all these, but look, man, all these things, you know, my favorite is, where was it? The air conditioning unit, right? You Edomites wouldn't even be able to have your air conditioning if it wasn't for Jake, right? If it wasn't for Jake. So, let's get back into it. Anyway, can't remember where we were here. But anyway, it says, boom, boom, boom. Whitney was not even the first person to try to use it in the manufacture of weapons. More than a decade before he won his contract to make arms for the government, a Frenchman, Honoré Blanc, however, right, made firing mechanisms for muskets out of interchangeable parts. Blanc demonstrated his technique at a show attended by Jefferson. He wrote, he presented me, so look, he demonstrated his tech at a show attended by Jefferson. He wrote, he presented me with the parts of 50 blocks taken to pieces and arranged in compartments. I put several together myself, taking pieces at hazard as they came to hand, and they fitted in a most perfect manner. To be fair, Whitney himself never claimed to propose the principle of interchangeable parts. On the other hand, he did claim to have manufactured firearms for the federal government out of interchangeable parts, when in fact he did not. Liar. They're all the Edomites of history. They're all liars, right? Meanwhile, you look into it, and it's actually Jake. I bet if you looked into it, it's Jake that somehow was the one that actually created it. It says, Peter Bida has reported in the pages of American Heritage that modern researchers have tested the Whitney firearms that survived with results that astonish those who had grown up believing the Whitney legend. The first test showed that in some aspects, the parts of Whitney's firearms were not even approximately interchangeable, so they don't even work right. Damn, that's hilarious. I love this book. It's hilarious. It just shows how much of a liar Esau is. Moreover, many parts of Whitney's muskets are engraved with special marks that would only be necessary if the manufacturer had failed to achieve interchangeability. Because no, this part specifically has to be here, right? Well, that's not very interchangeable, is it? In 1801, Whitney staged a demonstration to prove the interchangeability of his firearms. Historian Merritt Rowe Smith says it must have been fixed. It appears, says Smith, that Whitney purposely duped government authorities and encouraged the notion that he successfully developed a system for producing uniform parts. At least there remains the legend that Whitney invented the cotton gin, but if it remains, it does so in the face of the facts. So another lie. Okay, it says, Daniel Thomas, in an article in 1965 in the Journal of Southern History, documents that the cotton gin was invented in Asia and perfected in Santo Domingo in 1740s, half a century before Whitney produced his gin. Well, sure. But here's the thing. The Santo Domingo gin was crude, but effective. It wasn't, fully functional. It was effective, but it wasn't fully to the extent that with the cotton gin that we would know to come about. A single slave using the machine could produce up to 60 pounds of fiber a day. A slave working by hand could produce just a pound. So again, it was perfected in Santo Domingo, but again, but who made it? Slaves. Santo Domingo gin, however, didn't work with the slippery seeds of American cotton. Again, this all, look, who knows even about the Santo Domingo gin? Because again, all they're all lies, shrouded in lies about lies and shrouds of lies. So we don't even know, was that the original one? Was it a slave that was over there, or did it come about in America? Was it not even in Santa? Who knows? Right? It says that was where Whitney came in. His gin was effective on American cotton, but even here, his contribution is in question. Whitney's machine was equipped with a wire brush that needed constant cleaning and wasn't very effective. It was left to one Hodge and Holmes to invent a gin equipped with a saw teeth, which allowed for the continuous operation of the device without cleaning it. It was Holmes' invention developed a few years later, which apparently enabled the South to crown cotton as king. There you go. We're not going to get into this too much because it's just going to talk about slavery, but it never anywhere in here mentions anything about black people being the real ones that were actually involved, right? You can go and see, again, nothing, right? Nothing at all. So that's where we're leaving with that book. Let me put that there. That's where we're leaving with that book. All right, for now, because we got another one. We're going to come back and deal a little bit more with Esau's lies. But I did want to get a couple scriptures here. And before I get those, I wanted to touch on going back into the desktop and showing who really created the cotton gin, more than likely. Okay, so you look up who created the cotton gin. They say the cotton gin was invented by American inventor Eli Whitney. It says before Whitney's invention, cleaning again, but it doesn't mention it. Even it doesn't mention what we have in the book. Okay, you'd have to dig for that. Again, importance of books. Hodge and Holmes, right here, it says he's known. He's a master mechanic inventor, best known for developing the circular saw cotton gin. All right, though Eli Whitney famously received the first patent, Holmes' sawtooth design was far more durable and became the foundational prototype still used in modern ginning operations. Sure. So I wanted to see if they were going to lie or not. Looked up, is it true that a slave was really the one who created the cotton gin? Historians debate the true origins of the cotton gin, but the official patent was granted to a white Yale graduate named Eli Whitney in 1794. However, historical evidence strongly suggests that enslaved African Americans, Israelites, who were largely prohibited from holding patents, contributed significantly to the machine's creation. So they say they still won't give it away to Jake. Oh, they contributed significantly. Well, they still won't give it to Jake. They'll just say, oh, they did have a significant contribution. No, they pretty much made it. All right, and then what are you spooks working on over here? Oh, what is this? Cotton gin? Oh, yeah, because it's gonna help us not to have to work so much. Oh, wow. Well, this means you could do quadruple the amount, right? Well, hold up. Yeah, you can do double now because Esau, they're merciless. Right? They're merciless. As a closer look at the development of the cotton gin reveals several key perspectives on who actually invented it. The official patent. Eli Whitney is officially credited with creating the circular the saw gin after moving to Georgia and observing the difficulties of cleaning short staple cotton. He received his patent on March 14th, 1794. How would he know how difficult it is to clean short staple cotton? You wouldn't know because you're not picking it. Good Lord. It's all full of bullshit. Contributions of enslaved people. In antebellum America, enslaved people could not legally register their inventions. That's why showing you that a lot of these things are attributed to white people because slaves were not allowed to register their inventions. They were given to the slave master, right? And they were known as the inventor, right? Meaning any contributions they made could easily be claimed by others. Historical accounts indicate that Whitney tinkered on the machine in a secret workshop with the help of enslaved laborers on the Catherine Green plantation, and he likely incorporated their ideas and knowledge of existing rudimentary gins into his design. Sure. Beyond Whitney and enslaved laborers, other figures have been credited with the invention. Some historians and local traditions suggest that plantation owner Joseph Watkins, Scottish immigrant Hodge and Holmes, or even Whitney's hostess Catherine Green played major roles in developing or refining the machine's crucial components. Well, Hodge and Holmes, he's a Scottish immigrant. Well, over in Scotland and Ireland, all right, over in those areas, guess what? That's the original people in there were Moors, all right, Moorish individuals, all right. You can go look them more. Were the Moors in Scotland? And it should say yes, absolutely, and in Ireland. Yes, individuals identified as Moors, referring to sub-Saharan Africans or North African Muslims. Nope. Again, I mentioned that lie. Lived in Scotland as early as the 16th century. They lived before that as well. But again, just lies. All right, lies. All right, most notable period of the presence was during 1488 to 1513. They were before that. All right, they were there before that. But again, they lie. All right, just as this book mentions, everything's a lie. Everything's a lie. It's all a lie. They're lying to you. They're lying about the things that they lied about, lying to you about. All right, it's all bullshit, right? So let's get organized bookmarks that we can get rid of. Where are we going to go? We can go and get Matthew 22. Yeah, these are the three that I have for today. Matthew 23 and 27. All right, and a lot of these things remind me of Pharisee behavior, right? And these people are, actually, this is the one that I wanted to get from. These are for tomorrow's lesson. Actually, you know what? Those are for tomorrow's lesson. So you know what we're gonna get instead? We're gonna get let's get Ecclesiastes 12 and 14. We'll start because this was gonna be for the final lesson, but we're gonna get them now instead because we didn't touch on the part that I wanted to get in the Pharisee-like behavior, because they call themselves good Christians, but really they're more akin to the Pharisees when you look into the scriptures. That's how they act, and they're just Edomites. That's what they are. They're not even Pharisees. They're just wicked Edomites. All right, they don't even have it. They can't get it. They're done. But it's a part of the book that I'm reading that talks about how America wasn't even founded on Christianity. Right, that whole section on it. America wasn't founded on Christianity. It's hilarious because again, they maintain that they're righteous, like the Pharisees did, but they're not. They're just wicked individuals, right? But anyway, Psalms 10 and 7. It says, let's just actually get Psalm 10. Okay, and let's just start from 1. All right. I'll just have 7 highlighted. So Psalms 10 and 1. This is a really almost like a lamentation. It's a psalm, but it's a lamentation unto the Lord, right? Psalms 10 and 1. It says, "Why standest thou afar off, O Lord? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble?" Basically asking, why aren't you helping right now, currently, Lord? It says the wicked, because why? Something was happening. What was happening? The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. And part of that persecution is taking their inventions, right? For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Lord abhorreth. The wicked through the pride of his countenance, showing that they're very prideful, will not seek after Yahweh. Yahweh is not in all his thoughts. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for his enemies, he puffeth at them. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. And again, when we were defining deceit, again, it mentioned fraud. Well, let's pull out the little mini dictionary here, and I want to see if fraud comes up. Should. Fraud. It says trickery. Okay, fraud, and it's deeper than that. Matter of fact, just go find fraud. Let me pull it up. Fraud is the intentional act of deception or the concealment of material facts made with the goal of securing unfair and unlawful personal or financial gain. It generally involves tricking the other party into acting to their detriment, such as giving up money, property, or legal rights, or in this case, patents, right? Because of course they couldn't patent. So I created this. I created it. Me. You didn't, though. You didn't, right? I think we got the scripture in one of the other ones as well. But so we can get rid of that one. And we can get Revelation 22 and 14 and 15. And it says, Revelation 22 and 14, it says, blessed are they that do his commandments. So blessed are those that are actually doing what the Lord wants them to do, right? It says that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter through the gates of Slakia and enter in through the gates into the city. For without law, all right, are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie. That's akin to Esau. All right, and that's what they are. They're dogs, sorcerers, whoremongers, murderers, idolaters, and they love to make lies. They're the forgers of lies. Okay, forgers of lies. You're all forgers of lies and physicians of no value. All right, that's dealing with Esau, but shows you all they do is make lies, and they can't even heal you. All right, they're not good at healing. They're not good at anything. All right, there's not one good. Well, Esau is good at stealing land. All right, they're good at wickedness. That's about it. All right, that's all. That's the only thing that they're good at. Right, is wickedness. So and Jake is even besting them with that currently. Not that that's anything to boast at, but they're literally Jake. Unfortunately, does it the whoever in any subject that they're in, they do it the best. So right now, even Jake's doing wickedness the best. You want to know how Jake's doing wickedness the best? And again, I'm not condoning this behavior. Jake is doing wickedness the best because they can go out there and be robbing, and stealing and lying just as Esau does. But the difference is, people will want to follow that. They'll want to dress like the gangbangers. They want to act like King Von. They want to have dreads like him. They want to be from the O. They want to, you know, all these different things. So they're even influential in wickedness. Come on, man. You know, it's a shame, but it shows you that Jake is, you know, everybody, you got these white girls, Becky's, they're laying their edges, right? They're getting cornrows. They're getting, you know, different twists in their hair. They're saying, oh, I'm having a wash day. Bitch, you need to have a wash day every other day. Your hair gets greasy as hell. Okay, you can't wash your hair, you know, once a week. Okay, now you, Jake, yeah, but you, your hair ain't like Jake hair. All right, it's not gonna. Your hair doesn't retain moisture. It doesn't do it. Your hair doesn't do anything. You know, it's fragile. It snaps. All right, half the time you can't. You know, they're getting box braids. They're doing all this different shit, man. You got little Hunters and Tuckers and Thomases, and they're out there wearing shiesties. They ain't got no ops, right? They ain't got no ops. All right, the closest thing they have to an op is a fucking black bear out in the goddamn woods. There ain't no one out there. There ain't nothing out there. All right, but they're acting like, oh, yeah, man, I gotta wear these, this shiesty, man, because my ops where? Who's the op? Yo, daddy? Who? Your mama that gave you a spanking once? Who could possibly be your ops? You ain't got none. Living in some rich white suburban town, but you got op. You ain't got none. All right, you ain't got none. Stupid. But they want to be just like Jake, all right? They want to be just like Jake. And all the white women, they want to lay with black men, right? And the white men are not very happy about that. They're not very happy about it, okay? They try to say all these things about black people being bad and this. Meanwhile, all the young white boys want to get with big old black booty black girls, all right? Because they know our women are the best, all right? And all the white girls want to get with all the handsome 6'2", all right, sausage slinging black men, because they know, right? They know, right? And you can't have a society of people like that don't even want to get with their own people. They want to get with us. They want to get with our people, not just the so-called black people, but so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, Southern Kingdom and Northern Kingdom, on down, right? They want to get with our men and our women. That's who they want to get with, and it's hilarious. You can't have a functional society like that. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It really is. To me, it's hilarious, and to a lot of brothers, it's hilarious because again, we're the master race. You're not. All right, you're not even as cool as as Gomer, man, as the Germans. You regular plain old Edomites, you ain't got nothing. I mean, the Amalekites, they got that. They at least got a little bit of culture, right? They got a little bit of culture. German, Erica, bum 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 bum. You know, they got it, and I mean, you know. The Nazis, as they were, they was all set up in a scheme to the most part. There was some normality to it, but a lot of it was just Rothschild shit. But it's one of those things where there's a little bit of play with the individuals at hand, but you have to follow a goal. All right, it's the same thing like Trump. Every exact thing that Trump does isn't, you know, it's not written in a script that he has to do everything, but he has to follow a what's the word? He has to like follow a not an itinerary. Like to a level a script, but it's like it's like what your boss hands you to it. He'll say, look, I need this to be written today. I need this trash to be done at some point. I need this person to be trained, and you need to fire this person. Now, you're going to go about them in your own way, all right? But a list of goals. There it is, a list of goals, all right? A list of goals and things that you need done. That's how the Rothschilds work. They said, get this done. However it gets done, as long as you follow our guidelines, don't, you know, reveal shit, don't do this, get it done. That's how it's done. They're not literally fully, you know, they are puppets, but they have some sediment of, you know, their own level of quote-unquote free will amongst them. But again, the Rothschilds are watching them. They're looking at them and making sure they do everything that needs to be done. But again, if Trump wants to make jokes and stuff like that, and look, the main goal right now is on his itinerary is create chaos. Right? And Trump's good at that. So, you know, he can go and do all these different things. They're not saying exactly like, you know, again, he's their actor. So he says, I don't know, do something that's funny. All right? Do something that'll piss people off. Do something that'll get more people to like you. Do something that, you know, that's what they do. It's control, but it's not, you know, complete totalitarian control. And that's the same thing with Hitler. He did some things that he wanted to do, but ultimately, furthering the goal of once you're contacted by the Rothschilds or bought out by the Rothschilds, or you know, you're going to be doing it for a specific goal. And we already know that the Germans helped the 1948ers get over there and take that land during the transfer agreement. All right, you can go and look that up. Again, Hitler had some things of his own agendas that he wanted to do, but again, the Rothschilds and the elites' agendas come before your agendas. All right, if you somehow get their agenda done while simultaneously, doing something that you wanted to do, then hey, A-okay. Now, if you do something of your agenda that wasn't theirs, well, unfortunately, you'll have a heart attack. You'll be thrown out a window. You'll have cyanide poisoning, which shows up as pneumonia. You'll have a bunch of different things happen to you. So you got to do it following their guidelines. Again, guidelines. That's the word I was looking for, guidelines. So they'll give you a guideline, okay? Don't go outside of it, all right? You can, improv a bit, do a little bit of what you want to do, but again, ultimately, these are your guidelines. These are what you're doing. You're our puppet, and this is what you have to do. And that's how it works. So, and Esau does that, and that's what they do, right? And it's all a stage. The world is a stage, and I have all these different things that they want to do. And, anyway, I kind of got off on a tangent, but anyway, that's what they do. But Esau, is very wicked in that state, but no one really wants to follow that. They want to follow Jake's wickedness. It's hilarious. They have all these things, and Esau is out here, and they can't even be on top of their wickedness, right? And they are the wicked, right? Nobody wants to be wicked like, oh, I want to sit and do the, but no, man, they want to tote guns and do all the shit that Jake does, because Jake is influential even in wickedness. So Psalms 10:7, his mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. You know what vanity is? Vanity is uselessness. You can look that up. That'll be your specific thing that you got to look up, right? And then finally, Titus 1:6, right? This will be a perfect leave off because nope, that was it, actually. No. Yeah, no, so that was it. Yeah, Psalms 10:7 was it. So yeah, Slakia. That one's for tomorrow. I was like, that's going to be a perfect leave off. Now, that's because I had this in a weird order. So, Slakia, let me actually go and organize bookmarks. That one's done. And those are the ones for not necessarily tomorrow, but whenever we continue the thing. So, Psalms 10:7, his mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. So, mischief is wickedness. Vanity is what? Uselessness. Uselessness. And again, his mouth is full of cursing, deceit, and fraud. So, that should show you everything you need to know about this individual. But a lot of people still think that he's a good person, right? Nope. Wrong. So, that is where we're going to close out. That's been another edition of Legends, Lies, and the Cherished Myths of Babylon. Like I said, when we come back to it next, Lord willing, I'm alive and well. You brothers and sisters are alive and well. It's going to be getting into lies about presidency, right? And how, these people, they were with the slaves, and no. Or, we were founded on Christianity. No, and accounts where they actually denounced or purposely obscured things that were related to the Lord, right? So that should show you all you need to know about these individuals. So stay awoke or stay asleep, whichever you want to do. Really, it's through the Most High. You don't really have a choice at the end of the day. So, Lord willing, we continue in this truth. That I'm going to close out. Lord willing, it was edifying. Again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Akakwadash. Shalom, you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until the next one, Lord willing. Shalom.